Every build starts with a dream, and this dream turned into a reality I can touch, use, and cherish every single day. A storage bed simple, strong, and space saving. From plan to plywood to the finished masterpiece. Food travel and DIY takes you to this build journey. It's been a while since we last traveled or cooked something special on this channel. But remember, DIY is just as much a part of food travel and DIY. So today let's roll up our sleeves and make something that will stay with me for years to come. A custom storage bed. I wanted compartments, a slanting headrest, and storage that uses every inch of space under the bed. Drawers for easy access and hydraulic support for the heavy lifting. For me, every build starts with precision. Even a tiny miscalculation can ruin the entire project. Fun fact, did you know that 3¼ inch plywood isn't actually 3¼ inch? It's usually 18mm thick, slightly less than 19mm. That's why I plan and measure down to the millimeter. To calculate the exact plywood sheets needed, I use a brilliant tool, the Cutlist Optimizer, available on Android store. Just enter your sheet size and your cut dimension, and it tells you not only how many sheets you will need but also where to make your cuts. It even gives you printable diagrams, lifesaver for builders like me. Step 1. Cutting. I start with my circular saw. Always set the blade just below the thickness of the plywood. This gives a very clean cut. As they say, measure twice and cut once. I mark everything with my trusty Stanley tape and use a makeshift straight edge as a guide. Fun fact. Circular saw blades remove about 3mm of material while cutting. That's why I always mark which side of the cut I'm keeping and which side I'm discarding. The tiny details really do matter. Using a set square, I keep my cuts perfectly aligned. This is a method that is useful to get pieces of the same length. I place one of the straight edges on the bottom and then make sure that I have another straight edge of the same width. This piece also on the bottom is to be cut, and I keep it along the first straight edge. The measurement piece is kept on top of the first straight edge. I make sure that the measurement piece is flush against the straight edge. Finally, I keep the second straight edge along the measurement piece. I fix the straight edge in place, and when I make the cut piece will be exactly as long as the measurement piece. Step 2. Arranging and laminate planning. Once all the pieces are cut, triangles for the headboard, columns, supports, drawers, and facades, I use the optimizer again for the laminates. White laminates for the interiors, which are 0.8mm thick, and colored ones for the exteriors, which are 1mm thick. Even a millimeter can make a big difference in a build like this. Did you know laminates were invented in the 1900s to mimic wood grain affordably? Today, they are available in hundreds of colors and textures. Step 3. Cutting the laminates. I unroll the sun mica, remove the protective film, and score them with a scriber. With a snap, they break cleanly. Soon I have a pile of plywood pieces and matching laminate sheets ready for bonding. Step 4. Pasting laminates. Here's where Fevicol HeatX comes in. 5 liters in total for this project. Contact cement is tricky. Spread thin layers on both surfaces, wait for a few minutes until it is dry to touch. Then press together. With a mallet, I ensure a bond so strong even elephants couldn't pull it apart. Fun fact, contact cement doesn't actually dry. It bonds when two adhesive coated surfaces touch. It's instant chemistry. Step 5. Trimming and safety. With a palm router and a flush trim bit, I trim the excess laminate. It's messy, dust everywhere. So I strongly recommend a respirator indoors. Safety first, always. For the external laminates, I first mark the laminate to the plywood. Then I use my clamps and then trim the laminate to the right size. I won't be sticking them yet because the pieces need to be screwed by pocket holes first. Step 6. Pocket holes and joining. I drill my pocket holes with my wool craft jig. These hidden joints give incredible strength without ugly screws showing. A rule of thumb when using pocket holes is to always go from the exterior to the interior. In that way you get a much better joint. Now comes the fun assembling the frame. Piece by piece, footboard, sides, headboard all coming together like a puzzle. Before laminating the headboard, I cut holes for the electrical outlets. Tip: always cut smaller first and then expand as needed. Later, the outlet fits flush and neat. Here is where I pause. Building something with your own hands feels empowering. If you believe in creating instead of buying, support this journey. Hit that subscribe button and be part of Food Travel in DIY. Step 7. Hydraulic mechanism and reinforcements. For lifting, I add hydraulic struts. To reinforce, I screw them to extra plywood strips that touch the floor. Strength and durability. Fun fact: modern hydraulic lifts are based on Pascal's law from the 1600s. Pressure applied to a fluid is transmitted equally in all directions. That's what helps even heavy bed panels lift smoothly. Step 8. Bed surface and edge banding. Since my bed is queen-sized, a single plywood sheet could not be placed and we had to cut 2 sheets of equal dimensions, and this is what they look like. It seems level enough. I now lie down inside my bed storage space and then screw it in place. After the build is done, I proceed with pasting the external laminate. I spread the adhesive in the same way that I did earlier. For the plywood already attached to the bed, however, I need to spread the adhesive vertically, and this is how I do it. I take a small amount of adhesive directly onto my spreader and spread it onto the plywood. Once the adhesive is dry, I place my laminate aligned properly and hammer it into place. For larger sheets, I do the same, and again, I place the plywood spacers to prevent misalignment. Once the alignment is done, I remove the spacers and press the laminate onto the wood. Then my mallet is used to make sure that the wood and the laminate bond well. Edge bands cover raw edges, giving it a professional finished look. For the edges, I used edge band which matches the color of the exterior laminate. I used edge band adhesive and spread it on evenly on the edge. Again, I use my spreader for this. Then I place the edge band on the edge and press it well. There is some adhesive that gets misplaced, but this can be easily rubbed off before it's fully dry. I use my mallet again to make sure that the edge is secure. To fasten the boards onto the bed, I mark the holes from inside using a tiny drill bit, and then from the outside I use a larger drill bit to make the holes to fix the flat boards of the bed. This prevents major chipping of the laminate. I also use heavy-duty bolts to fix the board onto the hydraulic fitting. Next, let's move on to building supports for the drawers. Using the cross piece as a reference, I screw the plywood partition in place. Further, I measure, then screw the drawer supports in place and make sure that they are square and level as well. As per the specifications, the drawer support should be half an inch wider than the drawer on each side. So that means that the drawer should be 1 inch narrower than the supports. The support should be exactly vertical and also square and equidistant with the adjacent support. Once the supports are in place, I check the laminate for each support that I had measured and cut earlier using my palm router. Now it's time to stick them, and I apply the adhesive to the plywood and also to the laminate, and using my mallet I attach them together. I use a scrap piece of plywood to measure and install my drawer fittings. Since I want my drawer face to be flush with the foot of the bed, I screw the fitting in place so that the edge of the fitting matches with the edge of the plywood support. My scrap piece of plywood is placed just under the screw hole of the fitting to ensure accuracy. I do the same with the second screw hole. Now, to measure and insert the second drawer support, I place the drawer support and a piece of laminate followed by the drawer support and measure the placement carefully and mark it. Then I fix the support in place. It is important that this is done correctly so that the drawer fits perfectly. Once the second drawer support is in place, I laminate it and using my mallet again to complete the lamination. I use the same scrap measurement plywood piece to install my second drawer fitting. This ensures that both my drawer attachments are level. Again, I screw this in place by making sure that my measurement plywood is just below the screw hole. Now for fixing the drawer. I place the drawer in place and also make sure that it is level using my leveling tool. I pull out the drawer support and ensure that it is flush with the edge of the drawer. Also, I add 2 of my plastic spreaders below the drawer to ensure that I leave about 2 mm of space under the drawer. I screw the drawer in place using the half-inch screws. Then I remove my plastic spreader. I pull the drawer out to its maximum stretch and then place the spreader under the drawer again and screw it in place. The drawer seems smooth enough. Now for the face of the drawer. I try to see if the drawer looks flush, and it does. I keep a couple of supports under the face of the drawer and screw it in place. I do the same with the second drawer. I make sure that both sides and the top and the bottom of the drawer looks equidistant. I do not measure it accurately. Finally, laminate is attached to the drawer faces in the foot of the bed. I now measure and screw in the handles for the drawers. I also screw in the handles for the top of the bed. By now, the bed is being used. The finished handles look like these. I attach hinges for the shelf doors. 2 butt hinges at the bottom of the door and this special kind of hinge I purchased usually for top cabinets. These are measured and screwed in place. Once all of this is done, I stick the edge bands for all of the edges and trim the excess off with a diamond planer blade. And there it is, my dream bed. 2 cabinets, a comfortable leaning headboard, hidden storage and smooth drawers, a space-saving beauty. This build was more than wood and laminates. It was patience, precision and persistence. Every cut, every joint, every measurement taught me something new. And now, every night I sleep on my hard work. If this inspired you, don't just watch. Join the journey, hit that subscribe button to support food travel and DIY. More builds, travels and food stories await.